everyone, and welcome to the second episode of my still unnamed review show. Don't worry though, I'll think of something eventually. Today, we're going to take a look at the legend of Chuck Norris. Now, myself, I never really watched that much Chuck Norris when I was younger. My family mostly watched Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. But one day I was in stores, and I saw this little Chuck Norris American Hero collection. So I figured, 5 movies for $20, pretty good pack. The pack has Delta Force 1 and 2, as well as the Missing in Action trilogy. So, without further ado, let's look at some of the Chuck Norris legend with the Delta Force.
The Delta Force is a movie about terrorists hijacking a plane, and they're the worst terrorists in the world. One of them can't even get on the freaking plane. As for the other two morons, one of them looks like Arab Zach Galifianakis, and the other one is Robert Forster, who's about as Arab as I am. They have a guy hiding weapons for them on the plane, and this is just the laziest hiding I have ever seen. Come on, even Inspector Clouseau would have seen that.
What, they couldn't think of anything more clever, like hiding it in a sandwich?
They take over the plane since these passengers are the biggest bunch of pansies in the world. I mean, seriously, how hard is it to take on 2 guys? If there were 4 or 5, I'd understand. But 2, you can take them down at any moment. But this is nothing compared to the cringe-worthy moments coming up. The terrorists find a ring and realize there are Israelis on the plane.
There are Israelis aboard this airplane.
For some reason, this is surprising to them, so they try to separate who's Jewish and who's not. So the terrorists have the flight attendant collect all the passports in order to find the ones that have the Jewish names on them.
No. Don't tell me.
But then you don't want to be associated with Nazis who killed 6 million Jews.
Don't bring up...
This can't be happening. Not now, not again. Go.
We survived once. We can do it again.
Seriously, we're going to bring this up in a Chuck Norris action movie. This is not the place to bring this in. If I wanted to watch a movie about the Holocaust, I'd watch Schindler's List or Holocaust 2. This is just in poor taste, even by my standards.
Tweedledee and Tweedledum also find some Navy guys and bring them up to the concentration camp they have set up in first class. Not like they do anything anyway. These guys are supposed to be more dangerous and they can't even take on 2 shitty terrorists. Where do they get their training from? Elmer Fudd? News of the hijacking reaches the government, and believe it or not, in the DVD, here it actually says 2:45 a.m. Whoa, now it's night? I guess they fixed it. What? Now it's back in the evening? Goddamn movie, decide what time it is. A general played by Robert Vaughn calls Lee Marvin and tells him to get Delta Force ready. Hey, wasn't this a Chuck Norris movie? It's been 45 minutes and I've hardly seen his beard. Oh good, he's here. I'm starting to get worried this was going to degenerate into bad drama on a plane. Okay, I'm ready for some action. I can deal with a bit more of this plane garbage if Chuck Norris is going to kick some ass soon.
Not feeling well.
I'm waiting. Damn it, is anything actually going to happen? Chuck, do something. Fight Lee Marvin if you have to. Feeling like they haven't wasted enough of our time, the terrorists decide to play musical chairs with the plane. First they land in Beirut. Then they land in Algiers, where a bunch more terrorists enter the plane. Wish you had got rid of them when there was only 2, don't you? Stupid passengers. After much delay, the Delta Force finally arrive, but they just bring up another gripe I have in the movie. Look at their guns.
Why are they using Uzis? Uzis are an Israeli-made gun. You'd think that the super proud and American Delta Force would want to use something made in the good old USA.
To make a long story short, the women get released from the plane, and then the terrorists for some reason kill one of the Navy guys. Oh yeah, and then they throw a dummy that kinda looks like him out of the plane. I wonder if Chuck's gonna get mad.
Maybe he'll actually do something.
The plane hops back to Beirut where the remaining passengers are brought to the evil terrorist lair. Chuck and his buddy Butch go undercover as CBC reporters. And finally, after about an hour and a half, we finally get an action scene. Now, it's not that great of an action scene, but at least something is finally happening in this movie. That night, Delta Force tries to sneak into the terrorist compound. One goes in as a convoy that seems to want to make as much noise as possible, and the other tries to sneak in bright yellow scuba tanks.
flashy accessory just stick out like a sore thumb.
This explosion actually marks the moment where the movie starts to become good. If you were watching the Delta Force expecting a good action movie, just fast forward to this part. At least you could say you watched a good 30-minute action movie. Arab Zach Galifianakis is hiding under the bed, but unfortunately for him,
Any wrong you do, he's gonna see. When you're in Texas, look behind you, 'cause that's where the Rangers wanna be.
after kicking some ass and saving the hostages, the Delta Force heads back to the plane, while Chuck Norris goes after Robert Forster. Oh sweet, there's a picture from the cover. Chuck Norris and Lee Marvin are gonna shoot a rocket at the bad guys. Can't wait. Wait a minute. That's not Lee Marvin.
Poster and DVD cover promising Lee Marvin will be shooting a bazooka next to Chuck Norris. See? Right there. They're together shooting a bazooka. That's not what happens in the movie. False advertising.
Norris continues after the convoy, where his stare stops them dead in their tracks. Rockets help too. After a pretty decent action sequence, he chases Robert Forster into a house. Chuck beats the living shit out of Robert Forster in this extremely one-sided fight. Norris decides to toy with him for a little longer before delivering the fatal blow. On his end, Lee Marvin forgets what camouflage means while he's sneaking towards the plane through a cotton field while wearing black. Luckily, he has the ability of perfect headshots, which allows him to secure the plane. Oh no, they are getting shot at. However, will they escape? McCoy shows up with his magic bike and takes out the enemy jeeps. McCoy then grabs a rope and finds his way back onto the plane. So to finish off the movie, Butch dies from an injury he got earlier on. All the male passengers return home safely, and the Delta Force leave, mission accomplished, but having lost one of their own.
This is a bad introduction to Chuck Norris. I was expecting some shooting, roundhouse kicks, and one-liners. Okay, so I did get some of it in the last 30 minutes, but I had to sit through an overly long, overly dramatic, boring, plane hijacking story. I wanted a solid action movie, and Chuck Norris, you disappointed me. Not to mention all the errors and inaccuracies I found while watching this trash. Now, there are some positive things about this movie. The Delta Force theme was pretty rockin' and pretty awesome. You do hear that for pretty much all the last 30 minutes of the movie, and if that's all you remember about it, then that's not a problem. And I did love his rocket bike, although it made absolutely no sense and was totally unrealistic. It was still really fun to see him shoot rockets from front, back, side, rear, well, all kinds of crazy shit. Well, at least I still have 4 more movies in this pack, so there's gotta be something good coming up, right?
Wrong.